podcast dedicated to the asphalt paving industry. I'm Justin Rodriguez.
And I'm Scott Ramsey.
Hey, you did it this time.
Yeah, we did it right this time.
Yeah, so how are you doing, Scott?
Good. How was your week?
Very good. We had a productive week, and the fact that we weren't doing a whole lot of jobs, actually.
Right.
But I did training. So Asphalt Institute was host. I think it was like Labor Day, because we had the day off on Monday.
Oh, yeah, Memorial Weekend.
It was Memorial, not
Memorial,
Labor Day.
Yeah.
We're in May, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I saw they had training.
Okay.
And I was like, that's tomorrow. So I just signed up for it.
Sweet.
And I called Sean and my guys. I was like, hey, come in the office. We're going to do, the first one was, I had already signed up for a CalAPA one, which is the California Asphalt Pavement Association.
Okay, got it.
Which is kind of like the paving lobby for the state of California.
Okay.
Why they should use asphalt. And they do training and seminars, and they have conferences and all that stuff. But Asphalt Institute, I stumbled on Asphalt Institute, which is the nationwide asphalt lobby.
Right.
They were hosting webinars, and it was like $85 per class.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped on. I was the first, and it was just the start of the series, which was perfect timing.
Sweet.
So it was, quality pavement construction.
Okay.
So I have a couple of new younger guys that I've hired. So to teach them, this is like hearing it from the pros, and it was and it was well presented. They had a great PowerPoint presentation with slides, and the guys learned a lot from that. And then I did the CalAPA one, which was quality pavement maintenance also. Our quality pavement construction, I think, is the title of the class.
Right.
And it was this old salty dog that had been paving for a long time. His name was Skip something. And the guy knows his stuff because he's been doing it for so long.
Okay.
And he did the class, and the guys just felt like really enlightened because just typical roller techniques, like bending the roller before so you don't leave the bump in the mat.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff that people
Which
just don't
next
think
time or next maybe 2 episodes from now we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to do a compaction episode.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah, because that's such an important topic with asphalt that we haven't even gotten to yet.
Right.
So, but yeah, compaction, air temperatures, all the different things to look for in laying a good quality asphalt mat. So we did that, and then we did, speaking compaction, the last class. So I did 3 of them in a row. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Tuesday and Thursday it was the Asphalt Institute held courses, and the one on Wednesday was the CalAPA course.
Nice.
So,
do you think the guys got a lot out of it? Your guys?
Gosh, I couldn't believe it, because I had that talk with my guys, because some of my guys don't speak English very well. I'm like, is something going to get lost in translation if the whole class? And they haven't been in school for a long time. I don't even know if some of my guys have high school diplomas or not. So,
right.
Because
most of us haven't been in school for a long time.
I know,
right?
exactly. So he said it, but the way it was presented and the information, the way it came out, the guys were enlightened. They were really excited to do it, and they felt like, hey, we're getting some formal training, which was great.
Right.
So I definitely recommend those classes out there for you paving contractors out there, because they're invaluable.
Yeah.
That's really
absolutely.
good. Otherwise, you're teaching guys on the job, and you don't want guys to make mistakes on something that's supposed to come out really high quality for your customers. Right. So teaching.
Well, no, I mean, the thing is, I've seen from Asphalt Institute, there's little excerpts that I like to take that I actually requote to my customers, and a lot of it is very scientific.
Yeah.
A lot of it, when I read it, honestly, guys, I don't even know what I'm reading. It's like I'm reading Mandarin or something.
There's a lot of chemistry.
A lot of chemistry and all these waves and graphs. I'm like, whoa, I mean, I get
But
dizzy.
that's a lot of that's for the plant guys, and then the testing labs for the final product. It's like
the Department of Transportation.
Exactly.
How's the aggregate reacting to the oil?
Right.
And,
yeah. So there's a lot of that. But the thing is, asphalt. That's why we're doing this podcast. Is it's such a huge, varied topic. I mean, our little niche, we're the paver guys. We're the ones that sell asphalt. We install driveways, parking lots, roadways. So that's our end of it. But the thing mentioned on all the classes is the 4 pillars of paving. There's production, hauling, paving, and compaction. Mm-hmm. So those are the 4 pillars of paving. And they all have to work harmoniously to get a good product. That was really good information. And getting the guys to understand that was really kind of eye-opening for them, because I'm doing that behind the scenes. I'm ordering the trucking. I talk to the plant. I order the material, and the guys just show up to do the laydown.
Right.
But if they're understanding that, hey, the trucking has to be on point, the material has to come out at certain temperatures and be maintained at those temperatures, learning how to get the mat without segregation on the ground, so you're not getting rock pockets and those kinds of things. that's like really valuable information because
Heck yeah.
that's stuff that that's why people hire us, because we're supposed to know those things.
Right,
Like the
absolutely.
average Joe doesn't know that, but it's hard to teach the guys, especially
Well, and
if they're
I've
all
had-
set in their ways.
Well, and I've had and it's funny you say that because I've actually had people ask me, "Hey Scott," they call me the day before, a couple days before, and they say, "Hey Scott, what do we expect? What do we expect with the crew when they show up?" And I laugh, and I just say, "Okay, when we show up to start paving tomorrow, it's going to be the biggest whirlwind of organized chaos you've ever seen in your life," because that's what it appears. I mean, when you first start out paving, and I've been on thousands of paving jobs, it's almost like every paving job is the first day of paving for the crew,
Right.
because everyone's trying to get in their groove. Okay, you think in your mind, okay, I'm going to have 2 shovelers, 2 rakers, 1 shoveler, 1 raker. Well, it ends up being you have no shovelers, 1 guy on a rake, and he's on a shovel, and 2 vibra plates going, which you didn't even really expect to use a vibra plate that day.
Yeah.
You just get into a groove, and then somehow it all just works itself out. But yeah, knowing the technical aspect of it is very, very important.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that more with the compaction, because like I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, you can have the best ground crew in the world, the best paver operator in the world, but if you don't have a good roller guy,
Yeah.
you're done. You're
Absolutely-
totally done.
That's absolutely.
But you can have a mediocre paver operator and a mediocre raker, a half-assed good shoveler guy. But if you have a really, really good roller guy and he can knead the mat and he can really roll the marks out and,
Right.
and roll the joints hot, it makes all the difference in the world.
And that was another thing we talked about: joint construction,
Yeah.
kneading the mat. The one thing that's a negative for those classes for us, like a maintenance contractor, parking lots
Mm-hmm.
and driveways and those kinds of things, is that they tailor those classes mostly to the highway, the high
Correct,
production guys.
exactly right.
It's just like the big giant and the
Right.
Vogela and the big cat
Yep.
pavers and the the Blawnock, Cedar Rapids, those big machines.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas one thing that the guy did mention in the Cal Appa course, he got a picture of a little Lee-Boy, which are the pavers we use. They're commercial pavers. And it's not little, but it's a smaller paver than a
compared
highway
to what
class
they're on
paver.
the use,
Exactly.
yeah.
But the thing that I noticed was he said, "Hey, don't use these for a big highway job because they leave too many bumps. Just the way they feed the machine, there's too much room for error.
Right.
Because as if a truck hits the machine, it'll leave a bump in the mat because it bumps the screed. There's a lot of stoppage with the Lee-Boy, whereas those highway productions are dropping windrows." Or it's just high production. They have the
Right.
shuttle buggy in front of it, and that machine is just going. The shuttle buggy holds like 40 tons
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
of it,
yeah.
and the machine can just keep going, even if there's like, a lax in the trucks and the
Sure.
trucking. So where our machine, it's like we rely on that truck to be there,
Right.
and we're doing small little corners. We're picking up the screed, dropping it. Like that screed just sits there
All
and
day.
goes
Yeah.
all day.
Well, and that's the thing. I've taken a couple classes similar to what your boys went through this week, and it was actually through Caterpillar, and they kept referring to.
Well,
so
you went to the one in Tanaha Hills?
No. It was just
Oh.
like a online deal.
Okay.
And so I kept getting confused because when we look at our Lee-Boy paver, we have the paver, the screed. I just look at everything as just one piece of equipment.
Right.
Whereas Caterpillar,
They see it as all multiple components. yeah.
Correct. They talk about the tractor, then they talk about the screed, and and then I was getting a little confused because when I look at a paver, it's one and the same for me.
Right.
And for them, it's not. I mean, you have the tractor, it's so many horsepower, the tracks, the
There's
conveyor.
a lot more adjustments too on the highway class pavers. The augers can
the
raise and
slope
lower.
and-
the slope
yeah.
controls.
Yeah.
You got to null the screed, which I don't really know. It doesn't seem like my guys really. They do crank the screed and find that tight spot, but it's not really. It's not the same. I don't think as they null the screed on the big machines. I know that they find like that.
Well,
lax
but
point
when
and
you
then
go
they tighten it
well, the thing is on the big machines, they're taking the human error out of it because it's all slope control.
Yeah.
You set it at 2% cross slope, and then you just drive.
Yeah.
And then it adjusts the mat. You might have 6 inches here, and it might skinny
Are you
up to
talking
2
about like
inches.
the sonic sensors and all that stuff? Yeah, and they'll put the ski on the side.
Exactly right. It's
Yeah.
all slope control.
But the interesting thing about the big pavers, though, is the fact that they are so complex. Compared to the Lee-Boy, I always tell my guys that it looks like they, not idiot-proofed them, but they're a lot more simple to run.
Right.
And I keep, like, one of the things that confuses me is they say, oh, don't keep an even head of material. You want to keep even material in the hopper, even head of material in front of the screed, right?
Right.
And their rule of thumb is don't bury the augers on the big highway class pavers. Like halfway, if you see that you go right up to the middle of the auger, and then that's a good head of material in front of the screed. That'll keep keep that consistent. It's like an eye point. But on the Leeboy, I mean, even in the picture he showed, like you see a huge mound. Like they pile up the asphalt really high in front of the screed, and it doesn't seem to make a difference on the Leeboy. I don't know. What do you think about that?
You got to look at the rate of speed on the traffic. So in a parking lot, you're going 2 to 3, 4 or 5 miles an hour at those rate of speeds.
You're not going to
feel any bump.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, I've had our Leeboy out on a couple jobs where even at 25, 30 miles an hour, it doesn't ride as nice as bringing in a big machine. Yeah. Just because of all the adjustments. And you're absolutely right. The Leeboys, it has one gate. You open the gate. It has one. So on the
augers aren't adjustable. They're always right in one spot.
And the other thing is also on the big highway machines.
And I don't know if all Leeboy machines. This is just like the 8500 series, 8515.
No, all of them are the same. Yeah.
I don't know, but they have some big.
Well, machines. They have bigger.
And then they also have trench pavers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like a quasi highway class one.
Well, but the thing is that's the same as far as the highway pavers go. When you mentioned the adjustments, well, you can increase the speed of the conveyor. You can increase the speed of the auger.
That's right.
All of it's 100% adjustable.
Yeah. Whereas the Leeboy, I think certain Leeboys are starting to do adjustable.
Really?
Thing. Yeah. So there are certain things where you can adjust it. But
and technically, guys, we're 6 feet away.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it, but we are. So. Anyway, so topic for today. Main topic. Yeah.
Sales, right? Like I think that's a really good topic. Hiring a sales guy, but this is something that I have never been. I've always worn multiple hats. We've always been a closely held company. We're a small family business, so it's just my brother in the office, myself, and I go out and do the sales. Maybe my brother Jake goes out and he'll talk to people here and there, make phone calls, but. I've never leapt out and hired a sales guy, so I mean, I'm going to let you run this show today. So
yeah,
I mean, what should we start at? Like, when do you need to hire a sales guy? If you're small like me, when's a good point to start hiring a sales guy? I know you've told me a good answer before. I know you said something about like when your customers start suffering.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is when you're at the point where you can't service your customers anymore, because I'm the same. I still, even to this day, I still wear multiple hats. Yeah. One day I'm paving, one day I'm not, one day I'm in the office doing payroll. It's just, we all wear different hats. But at the point in which the customers are not getting, and that's kind of how I base hiring anybody. My first superintendent I hired was based upon, the quality of job wasn't the same when I wasn't out there. Well, that's not right. I'm going out there selling a job, and they expect the same quality job as if I were there.
Right.
And so that's when I took that leap and said, I have to hire a superintendent.
Yeah.
Somebody that's going to represent the company as if, and that superintendent is financially responsible. I mean, I don't mean financially out of his pocket, but his rate of pay is dependent upon the financial outcome of the job.
Right.
And so he's got some skin in the game per se. Same thing with a sales guy. But the difference with a sales guy is it's kind of a rite of passage. So I see a lot of guys, including myself, I'm no different. At the point in which you hire your first sales guy, you think, oh, that's it, I've made it, I got my first sales guy. When you don't realize you just really opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah. You
opened up Pandora's box to liability, job profitability, or losing. It's kind of a good analogy that I get is, and I know you're going to laugh when I say this, but the big dirt moving guys? The big dirt moving guys, when they get to the grading guys, when they get to a certain point, they've actually gone to the rite of passage when they go out and they buy their first lowboy.
Right.
You've seen that before. They finally made it, they bought their first lowboy.
And they're moving their own equipment.
And they're moving their own equipment, and they're big time at that point. Well, us little contractors, when we hire our first sales guy, we think, oh man, we've made it. Which in all reality, that could be the beginning of the end.
I don't know. I don't think that. I was terrified to hire because, I'm afraid of what he's gonna say. Like, oh, what did you say to this customer? You sold this for that drive? You can't do that.
Well,
like,
no,
that's the thing
that's
that I'm
the
afraid
thing.
of. But go on. What was your thought about like why the rite of passage? Like why is it the
Well, just because it's one of those things where and I'll never forget. It was a long time ago, and I remember I was on a job paving, and I had never had an estimator before, and so I'm out there paving with the guys, and I turn around and I see my estimating truck driving, and it was almost a feeling of like somebody just stole my truck, and then I had to do like a double take. Oh yeah, that's right. I've got an estimator out there now.
That's awesome.
So it was kind of an eerie feeling at first, and then quickly I got over it. But yeah, when it comes to hiring a sales guy or an estimator, for me, and there's lots of different ways of doing it, but having somebody also semi-financially responsible for the job is important, i.e. being on a commission.
Right.
I've had guys early on where they were just salary guys, and they said, "Oh, I need this and this and this for I need a truck, a gas card, and this and this, and I hope to bring in some work." Well, it never works out because some people are just not built for sales. Some people don't have the initiative. They don't have the drive to wake up and start their day and say, "Okay, I have to do so many sales per day based on my salary I'm getting." A lot of people don't think like that.
But I think salesperson is a specific personality. I think I am more and you yourself, I think, are a sales guy as well. It's just we happen.
But there's a difference between an entrepreneur,
yes,
which you and I are, and a sales guy.
But to get out there and follow up, make that phone call, make sure, because the one thing that scares me out of sales guys, they're not pushy, but try and get the sale so they can make their commission. So what do you think about just the fact that they're trying to sell jobs just to make commission, but then they might be doing lowballing the bids? Or
Exactly
whatever,
right.
So
that's where they're going to hurt.
That's
where they're going to hurt you. Because at the end of the day, we talked about this on previous episodes. Customers these days are a lot smarter than they were. They're not smarter. Everyone is educated. They're more educated. They have more power at their fingertips. They can find out, go on Google, and they can find out more information in 5 minutes.
They're going to see this show on YouTube.
Well, in this show, they're going to they have more information than they ever have before. We just live in a technology world.
Right.
And so I wanted to talk a little bit about, some mistakes that I made early on with hiring a sales guy. And I would say probably one of the funniest mistakes is I had one of my early sales guys. He was a referral from a friend and said, he's a good guy, he could sell. And the one thing I always think about, and I have to remind myself, when things are busy, if he was really that great, and this goes with anything, paver operator, raker, sales guy, this is more for you contractors out there, you got to ask yourself the question, and my wife has asked me the same question a lot of times, many times. If he's that good, why isn't he working for someone else? It's June, July, August, September. Nobody needs a job in the asphalt business.
Right.
Why are we in September and this guy's looking for a job? So that's one thing to you contractors out there. So just, buyer beware. But one of the first things, it was kind of a funny thing, and it took a little while for me to realize what was happening. But I had a sales guy on salary and just going out, selling jobs, and we would have our weekly meetings and we'd talk. And I would ask him about, hey, I'm not going to say names, but hey, Joe Schmo.
Mr. Sales Guy.
Yeah, hey, Mr. Sales Guy. What? Yeah, thank you. Hey, Mr. Sales, because I almost came out with it, and he probably would sue me. But anyway, hey, Mr. Salesman, what's happening with this job? What's happening with this job? Because obviously, me running the company, having my new little sales force, I know I have to meet. He's making X amount per year, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. You got to cover. Yeah, you got to cover. So there's certain things, and so the funny thing is, every time we would have a meeting, it would always be like, "Oh, I'm gonna know on Friday. I'm gonna know on Friday. I'm gonna know on." And I didn't. It took me. And I don't know if it's my naivety or I'm just not as intelligent or I'm too nice.
Yeah.
But then I realized. Oh, and it took like 2 months, and all you viewers are out there saying, "Scott, you're an idiot." Well, he kept saying every Friday because paydays are on Friday. Oh, I'm going to know on Friday. And I don't know if he was fearful that I was going to let him go right on the spot and he wasn't going to get his check on Friday. I don't really know. But in his mind, oh, I'm going to know on Friday. And subsequently, I mean, I think the guy worked for me for 6 months, and then he went off to sell cars, and I think he's had a dozen jobs since then. I lost track of the guy. But anyway, so that was one of my early on experiences. It was kind of funny. Second experience I had with a sales guy was, and this was a Santa Barbara guy. I think you remember Zach.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. Okay. Well, I said his name, but anyway. Well, no, it was kind of
edit it out.
It was kind of funny the way it worked out, and I'm in touch with Zach to this day, but it was and he would agree with this that it was kind of funny. He dropped off his resume, his portfolio. He dropped it off at our Santa Barbara office. Mm-hmm. I get a call. My father-in-law gets the packet. He calls my wife. My wife calls me. She says, Scott, and my wife and my father-in-law, they never get involved in that part of the business where they're advising me on who I hire, who I don't hire. Lisa calls me and she says, Scott, you got to meet this guy. And I was like, wow, that was kind of odd. And I said, okay. So she brought home his information and I looked at it, very well presented, and I wasn't ready to hire a Santa Barbara sales guy. I was covering that area. And so I looked at it, and she's like, hey, my dad and I are in agreement. You got to hire this guy. And I said, man, I don't know. I was kind of like you. I was like, And I already had John. Exactly. And, John and I were covering everything, but I was a little overwhelmed. And so I said, okay, I'll meet with him. So I met with him. This guy sold me. This guy sold me. Scott, I don't need a salary. I don't need any money. Pay me a percentage of the job. He wanted 5%. Okay. I don't need a car. I'll cover my gas. Everything. It was a dream come true. Wow. I was like, he had a perfect.
Why did he want to do that though?
Because he was so confident in his ability to sell that he knew that he could get 5% of the job as soon as it got sold. And to all you contractors out there, you would be stupid not to do a deal like that. I mean, there's no risk on my part. He was a veteran salespeople. A veteran sales guy. He had been working over in Las Vegas. He'd been in the business
selling paving jobs.
Seal coating, paving.
Okay.
He was well experienced in the industry, mm-hmm. And I said, okay, fine. I didn't have to buy him a truck or anything. He sold, or tried to, for 2 months. Did not close one job. It was the craziest thing I had seen.
Into it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Justin was out there. Yeah. You're undermining me. No, but the weirdest thing was, and so Zach and I got together one day for lunch, and he was like, yeah. I said, Zach, how are you doing? I said, and at this point, I was feeling bad for him. I was like, man, how am I going to keep this guy? And so he was like, yeah, I know. My wife and I were talking, and I don't know what to do. It's just maybe it's the area, maybe. And I said, Zach, why don't we do this? Why don't I take the pressure off of you a little bit? And why don't we work out? Why don't I give you like a salary? You'll get a salary, but it's based on commission. And why don't we work? At least you'll get some money coming in. I mean, you've been working here for 2 months, and it's got to be brutal. And he said, yeah, no, I was thinking we could work something out, or I was going to start looking for another job. And so we did that. We did that. Within like 6 days, his job started closing. It was the craziest thing. He just got his mind off the money, and he didn't have to worry about it. And then after that, he had been one of my top salespeople.
Oh, good.
Sales guys, did great. And then him and his family ended up moving down to Southern California for her job, and we stay in touch.
He seems like a nice guy.
He's a great guy, great family. I stay in touch with him all the time, and so it was just one of those funny experiences that money was getting in the way of the sale.
Right.
And it was just one of the craziest things. Yeah.
That's funny. But it's not easy to sell asphalt job, I think. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that you have to think about, like all your overhead costs, how much asphalt you have to bring in, what kind of equipment you need to use. There's a lot of little things. So you have to have a sales guy. You have to teach him the paving business from the ground up. Like, how long does it take a guy to do a 6x4 foot patch, patch repair, so they can bid it responsibly.
Well, and I'll tell you, and all of you contractors out there your stomachs are gonna drop when I make this next comment. I had another sales guy early on. You guys are gonna laugh. We bid the job for $135,000. The job cost us to complete was about $275,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to make it through that one. Seriously. So,
Surprised you still have hair in you.
yeah, well, that's where all the gray is coming from. But yeah, no, seriously, we bid the job for $135. Cost us about $275 to complete. Just a, and the thing was, it was a public works job, and during the job, my estimator was, no, Scott, don't worry about it. We're going to file claims, da-da-da. I don't even to this day, I don't even know what a claim is. We filed a claim, and they denied it, and I was like, okay, they denied the claim. What are you going to do then? And so I don't know. We got through it. That guy no longer works for me as well. But the thing is, you bring up a good point. I have, and if any of this helps you guys, take what you like, throw away what you don't like. We all have different ways of running our company.
Right.
But you running your company, me running my company, we're financially responsible. So I've set up my sales guys in a way to where we control the money part of it. They have no control over the money. And what I mean by that is they're not costing. Like you made the comment, well, how long does it take to do a 6x4? He doesn't care. He's just a sales guy to go out and take measurements, do a takeoff, take pictures,
Right.
bring it back. Because I hate to say this. I mean, they're talking about the guy early on where he kept telling me, oh, Friday I'll know, Friday I'll know, Friday I'll know. I hate to say this, but there's part of human character where it can be swayed by money.
Yeah.
You see the world when somebody's squeezed for rent, or somebody's squeezed because they need that money to make their car payment, to make their rent payment. People's character and judgment can definitely be swayed or altered when it comes to money. And I like to just take that part out of the equation. Either you're a good guy, you're a good sales guy. We all make our mistakes.
Right.
I had one of my current sales guys. We did a job in Montecito. It was 2,400 linear feet of berm. He quoted it at 675 feet because he forgot the other side of the road. He just forgot to double it.
Yeah.
And it ended up being like 2,000 feet of berm, and we ate it.
Yeah.
But I mean that there's no picture in the world that I'll be able to see that's gonna. I mean, we do Google Maps and
but that takes a lot of the risk out of it, though. I mean, that's a simple mistake, but at least it wasn't like he was putting the numbers in together and they were all wrong.
Correct.
Like he didn't factor in time of day or certain things. Like I remember there was a job, a sales guy told me a story where they bid a job and there was a school nearby, but the working hours were only a certain window. Yep. And they didn't factor in the teardown and the setup of the traffic control.
3 hours in it.
So they only had like 3 hours or 4 hours to actually do work, and they ate it because they bid it really low to get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
And it took them 3 times as long to do the work.
So yeah, that's the thing with sales and construction is like you can lose money very fast in this business.
Correct.
It's not easy to make it. It's hard to sell the jobs, or you got to convince the customers. Why would they choose Scott? Why would they choose Justin?
Correct.
Who do they feel comfortable with? And then on top of that, you have to have all your backing in place that you're confident your numbers are good. And that's why a lot of times people, this guy's doing it for this much, and it's dangerous to price match if you don't know what their other guy is offering. So if your sales guys are out there, I think that's really smart how you did it. Because I've always been telling my brother, it's like, why don't we just hire a guy to do intake? Because it's kind of what your sales guys sound like. They go out, they take pictures, they do the measurements, they meet the people, ask them what they want or what are they looking for, and then if they know the asphalt business a little bit, can they overlay it? Does it need R&R, complete remove and replace, or is it just a seal coat? That kind of stuff. And then if they're going out there doing it, because that's hard for me, because I get phone calls, we're in the middle of a job, I'm doing bidding, and if I could just unzip myself down the middle and go in two directions,
make two of you,
that's a benefit because it's more intake, thus more maybe possible future income if they're going out there.
Correct. Well,
I'm driving all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, you can get systems in place. And I assure you, because I'm doing it. You have to get systems in place to where you and Jake, or you the contractor, your hand has to touch every bid. Every bid that comes in, your eyes, your hands, your heart, everything has to touch that bid. So just to go through it real quickly, what I expect from and I literally, if I don't see, and Shane knows because I've done it to him before, if I don't see what I want to see, the bid goes back and say, hey, no, I'm not even going to look at this bid until I want a full takeoff. I want lots of pictures from different angles, because I've had guys in the past where they'll take pictures,
but they miss something that's like.
Well, what I mean,
egregious.
I think it
should
was
have known about that.
Well,
pothole or whatever.
I had a sales guy early on where he was taking pictures, and this is when I started implementing these systems. He would figure out the best part of the parking lot, and take a picture, no cracks, and he would say, Scott, this is what the parking lot represents. And I say, wow, okay, and we have formulas for figuring out crack filler and all that.
Yeah, of course.
And so I would look at it, and then we would go out to do the job, and it was the entire thing was alligatored, and be like, what in the world are we going to do with this? And I'd go back and look at pictures and be like, this is a bad representation.
Yeah.
So now what we do is, okay, I want a full takeoff, and I want a Google map so I can see ingress, egress, kind of the lay of the land, and I want lots of minimum of 10 pictures, different angles, and everything gets sent to me, and then I get everything printed out, or we do electronically, whatever, and I just look at it, and then at that point it gets passed over to kind of what I would call a data entry person, kind of the accountant type, to where they have our price sheet, they have the trucking rates.
Yeah, because all of like your averages of like, what how many hours in a day, like what's our daily overhead and all that stuff.
Right.
Like, yeah,
that's
you
right.
have all that stuff,
that's
so
right.
you can kind of plug those numbers.
And Laura and I, we go through, and it's like, okay, well, we know we can put 250 tons down in a day. Can we, we can pulverize, grade, and pave 150 tons. But if it's at 250 tons, we might have to pulverize it, grade one day, and then go back and pave the second day. So there's a lot of manipulation that we do with the numbers to make it not only affordable but also competitive.
Yeah.
Because guys, you got to understand, and we're, as little kids, we grow up knowing that there's going to be 3 bids. I mean, you're going to paint your house.
Yep.
You go tell your dad, hey dad, anybody that paints houses, your dad's going to give you a couple numbers. Now son, you got to get 3 bids.
Right.
You got to get 3 bids. Well, we're in the
especially if you don't know
business.
anybody. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
same thing.
Exactly. So if you don't know anything about what it is, like putting in air conditioning or something, you're going to go get.
You're going to get a couple bids. Yeah, at least 2 or 3 bids. Right.
Exactly.
Right. So that's why and this, the way we do it, I think it works. Now I'm skewed because it's my company, my system, and whether it's efficient or not, I don't know. But the reason it works is just because I've had instances in the past where a customer says, hey, Mr. Salesman told me it was going to be X amount of dollars, and your bid came in at, they said it was going to be 10,000, but it came in at 12,000. And I go to Mr. Customer and say, Mr. Customer, I know that's not true because my estimators they do not have their hand on the bid. They do not have their hand on the number part of it. So it just eliminates that altogether.
Yeah, and they should. And if he told you that, he shouldn't be saying things to you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I say, and I tell Mr. Customer, I say, hey, Mr. Customer, I'm very sorry. I'll have a talk with that estimator because he was definitely out of line.
Yeah.
Because my guys, they, whether it's going to be a $20,000 job or a $40,000 job, I'm sure they have some. I would hope they have some kind of bearing. Yeah. But as far as just off the cuff saying, oh yeah, this is a $30,000 job.
What about, speaking of numbers, not to go into specific numbers, but a lot of customers when you show up, it's like, well, what is it going to cost off the cuff? Like, a lot of times I'm like, I don't know, I can't give you an accurate number off the thing. Because if you do give them some random number and it comes up being higher or even lower, it's like, it just, one, you kind of look stupid, or two, they're going to try and hold you to whatever numbers you initially gave them. And
well, I can't tell you how many times I've had Mr. Customer say, well, off the cuff, I'm not going to hold you to it. And I say, well, I think it's, and I've even done it myself. Yeah, I know better. And I say, oh, I think it's going to, this is about an $8,500 job, somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah. And then once I figure it out,
it's like 98 and 90 or something.
Exactly.
Like, you said it was going to be 8,500.
Yeah. and I said, well, once I got back to the office, and and then it's kind of like a bantering, like, well, what can we do to get down to your original $8,500 quote? And dude, there was no $8,500 quote. That was just off the cuff.
It's in the ballpark. It's plus or minus.
Yeah, that was just so now I've learned where I don't even go there.
I know. And there's a lot of wasted time people too that call you on the phone. They're just like, well, I just need a quick number. I was just like, no, I don't do that. You can't.
Well, I mean, if somebody asks for a budget number, like they say, hey, I don't want you to come out. We're thinking of buying this property. It's just dirt.
Yeah.
No.
Always put a high ballpark.
Hey, $3.50 a square foot for paving and $1.50 for base. I just throw some ridiculous numbers out there and say, hey, and I say, hey, these are for your budget numbers. And I tell them, I say, these are super high. But if you decide to buy the property, have me out. Let me look at it, and we'll get it zeroed in.
We can get you real numbers.
We'll get you real numbers. Yeah. But that's the thing with the sales guy is, and I think the success with our sales team is just taking the money part away from the sales guy, and make it our responsibility in the office.
Are your guys able to calculate? They just get square footages and. That they don't calculate tonnages and all that stuff.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to give me, so they have to provide obviously square footages, a full takeoff.
I think that's.
I'm not hiring
because that's what I would do.
And I don't want our future customers out here thinking that you and I are hiring bozos. My guys are very, very well trained.
Yeah.
Trained by, if they come in, and I've got a great guy right now working for me. Came in with zero experience. He's just killing it. But he's been well trained. He did a week ride along. He did a week ride along with John. Didn't he ride along with you, Shane, for a while? He rode along with Shane for a couple days. Rode along with me for a few days.
I think that's the way you're talking. That's how I would have done it off the bat, because I'm too controlling. But I think that's how most business owners are. It's like that's their livelihood. That's how they make everything happen for themselves. So the fact that you don't want the guy going out there just shooting numbers off. Like, I would have a guy just going out doing takeoffs, measuring, meeting people, hello, here's my card, a face, a presentable face, and being able to do the takeoffs. And that's valuable, because that's time. That's so much time to go out there, drive, and then come back and then actually figure out the bids.
Yep.
It's if you can have them out there just doing that groundwork for you.
But I think, believe it or not, I think most contractors, I think most contractors are still doing it the old way, where the sales guys are responsible.
They have a lot. I've seen a lot of paving companies where they have guys they're doing the numbers.
They're doing the numbers.
The companies themselves will make a spreadsheet for them to plug the numbers in.
Right.
But they're doing their own numbers.
But I mean, what happens if that estimator figures it out a 1-day job, but it really takes you 3 days?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where you as the owner, you know your guys in the field. See, my estimators know the guys in the field, but I know production.
Yeah.
You know what your guys are able to get done in a day.
Right.
And it doesn't really matter. I mean, what your guys can get done in a day is different than what my guys can get done in a day.
And it's funny, too, that you say that, because that's how we get in trouble, too. Is like you drive by, you look at something, and you think, oh, it's going to take 4 hours to do that. And it's like, oh, no, that was like 8 hours.
Oh, yeah,
that was like
sure.
a day and a half.
Well, and the guy, I mean, there's, and we've talked about it on previous episodes, where our business, we're heavily, and you hit it on the head, we're relying upon the asphalt plants, guys on the road, trucking. I mean, all it takes is, I remember we started this was recently, I think it was earlier this year, we started a big job in San Luis Obispo, and man, I had everything, I had everything lined up, load times, loading base, loading asphalt, we were going to get in and go figure, our trucks go to the job, on their way back to get base, drop off equipment, go back to get base, a propane truck rolls over on Highway 101.
Oh.
7:45 in the morning.
Yep.
Propane truck, so that was like natural disaster.
Yep.
So trucks had to be rerouted through
the
Morro Bay or something.
Especially in an area like this, you're done.
You're done. Yeah,
because we only have one major freeway,
right.
And
I mean, go figure.
That's it.
And then we're panicking, frantically saying, okay, well, we had all the mix figured to go out of Granite that day. Well, let's go the other direction out of Portland.
You got to call the plant right away. Yeah, stop production.
Maybe they put it up in. Maybe they put the mix in the silo.
If they put the mix in the silo,
oh, you bought it. You bought it.
You bought it. That's yours.
So there's. We
have 120 tons. You purchased it.
That's right. Yeah, and the customer doesn't realize. I mean, that's $10,000 of material sitting there right there.
Yep.
Just like that. Poof.
You can lose money real fast.
Yeah. Exactly right.
You got to make sure. Why do you think I'm such a twitchy guy? Mm-hmm. That one time, I'm always overly cautious. Every time, I'm like, oh, Scott, you're too cavalier.
I mean, after you do, I don't know. I mean, after you do, ask your dad. He's been doing it longer than I
have.
No,
he's worse than you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's worse than I am.
I'm
still. And people see me, they meet me, and they think, wow, Scott, you're a huge gambler, but no, I'm really not. I don't gamble. I mean, I work too hard for my money to gamble. I don't go to the casinos.
Just to watch it go into a black pit.
Exactly right. But I'm actually very, very conservative. I mean, I think of everything. I'm very conservative. I try to be fair with customers.
That's the way to be successful. I mean, being conservative and smart that's how most successful business people are. They're not going to be willy-nilly and just free loosey-goosey with their money. I mean,
and I mean, I look at jobs and I'm
smart about it.
Yeah, and when I look at jobs, I'm conservative on the time. You know, the way I look at my jobs, and this is the way I talk to my sales guys, there are no go-backs. You know, especially in the industry you and I serve. We are serving the private Mary Joe homeowner, Mary Jane, Joe Schmo homeowner, Mr. Customer. You can't bid it so tight and ask them for more money. There's no going back.
Oh no, they don't.
Never.
They're like, well, that's what it is. You got to figure it. And then they'll hold you to doing all kinds of stuff that
correct.
Just to get your initial money. To get paid.
Correct. I mean, the way I look at it, and depending on what field you're in, I mean, there are contractors that service the new construction industry. Very low margins.
That's why you got to make sure you not pad the number, but like make sure that the number is correct.
You're covered.
You're covered.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, new construction type of work. Margins are really low. Risk is low as well because it is cookie cutter. You know exactly what to expect. The grading guy's going in. You're going to pave 3 inches asphalt.
A lot of times you have plans.
There's plans. The variables are there's no variable.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Margins are tight. I don't really dabble in that market. You and I are the same. Yeah. Now
we do them. I mean,
we do.
Yeah, you have your customers.
Yeah, we do them.
Yeah,
we do them.
We do
but
them. But
I'd rather not. I'd rather not. But the thing is, you don't want to. And the customers that I serve, the customers that my sales guys serve, you know, you go in to do the job for, you know, Mary Jane on a commercial job, and what happens when you break that G5 box? Well, those boxes are like $65, just like that. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't bid it so tight where you're gonna freak out over a $65 box. You're like, you know, my super calls me and says, "Oh my God, we broke it." I was like, "Dude, just go down to Aquaflow and go get another one."
Exactly.
You know, well, they don't have a sewer lid. All right, well, just buy one that says water and we'll replace it tomorrow.
Yeah.
When they get the sewer lid in, you know, buy it that says water and we'll replace it with electrical, or you know, or get a blank one for it or whatever. But that's the way I mean, like I said, there's no go backs, and you break whatever you break it, you bought it literally on these private jobs, and you gotta. I know
the homeowners. It's understandable where they're coming from. You're a homeowner. I'm a homeowner. You don't have like a deep budget to like redo this. I mean, like you're focused like, oh, this is what I budgeted.
Yeah.
I got to stick to that number.
Sure.
You know, you got to keep that in mind as the contractor. Like, hey, bid your job right. If that's all they have and you can't do it for that, sorry.
Well,
like, let the next guy do it.
You're right.
He can do it, or if he can, good. You know,
correct.
Best of luck to them. You know.
Well, and I will, and this goes in. You know, because we talked about this, I think, in episode 2.
Good customer,
bad customer.
Good contractor, bad contractor.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. I mean, I look back on jobs that I thought in my mind at the time were totally cookie cutter. We are the best contractor for this job. We're set up the best. We've got all the grinders. Everything's ready to go. We don't get the job, and I'm really disappointed. But then I hear 6 months down the road from the asphalt supplier, "Oh, did you hear what happened on such and such job?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I bid that job. I really wanted it." "Oh yeah, it ended up being a swampland underneath it, and they had to bring in concrete trucks to bridge it over, and it ended up being a total nightmare." And I think, "Oh man, good thing we didn't get that one." Yeah. Good thing we didn't get that one. So anyway, so I mean that's But
hiring salespeople, that's a good idea the way that you're doing it, because the only thing that I could see that's a challenge is getting all the numbers, because then you're just going to be hunkered down looking at, if you have 10 dudes going out doing estimates, they're doing them all day long, so you got to look at them all the time, make sure your numbers are good, and that's a lot of bids to go over, plus the ones that you go out and do yourself.
Correct.
So that's a lot of work.
Well, and the thing is, like for me, it takes me like 2 seconds, because I have Laura in the office, and she's the one that takes the time. She's the one that's figuring out she's the one that's figuring out the travel time,
so
the
you
trucking
do have
time.
help with it. Someone you
Oh no,
trust.
I don't do.
Yeah.
I don't do any of the numbers. There's not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
So all I'm doing when I say that I'm putting my hands on it, my heart on it, I give it my blessing at that point, is I just look at what my estimator is proposing, look at it, look at the Google map, look at a few pictures, and I have maybe one estimator that I trust a little bit more because
Right.
he's more of a veteran than the new guy. So I might look at, and I might spend, like for John, on his estimates, I might spend like 3 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. John knows what he's doing. Off to the next one. Now, my other guy that's a little newer, I might spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, because it is a learning curve about going out,
exactly.
walking thing. Also, the Asphalt Institute had a pavement distress class coming up. Maybe you want to sign up your estimators for that, because they teach you like why this failed, what you can do to prevent it, what kind of techniques there are. So I mean, that's a
good one. That'd be a good class. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's on June 2nd, so it's coming up on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
okay. June.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is Tuesday.
I'll give you the link.
Yeah, give me the yeah.
But that's good. I was thinking because I'm going to do it myself, and then
What is it, like an hour?
They're 90 minutes, I think.
Oh, okay, an hour
But
and
they
a half.
have pictures. It's a PowerPoint presentation.
Nice.
Yeah, so more Asphalt Institute stuff.
So-
but
no, it's
that's a
helpful.
good resource for the guys out there.
Yeah.
I mean, utilize it. It's
Absolutely.
out there. It's inexpensive.
Absolutely.
And because of the whole COVID thing, if you're hunkered down at home,
Yeah.
you could sit there and you could do it. And
Well, and this goes out to the contractors out there. I mean, read is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with reading. I mean, it's really, really important that we read, we listen. I mean, and some of you old-time contractors out there, you heard of Automobile University. I'm still a huge fan of Automobile University. You learn a lot. I think statistically, the average person drives 12 miles a year, and if you listen consistently to to Automobile University for your 12,000 miles per year, you can have a 4-year education, the equivalent of a 4-year education in 2 years. Literally.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, they've actually done studies on it. So
Yeah.
I'm still a huge fan. I still do it to this day. But yeah, go to the Asphalt Institute.
How many degrees do you have?
Learn. Oh, I don't know. The degrees of hard knocks. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't
but
know.
that's good because I mean they I have the books back there behind you, but they have like the MS. They made a new one, MS 22, and they have their different books, but they have all kinds of different. It's just every aspect. There are emulsions, compaction, just maintenance,
Right.
different maintenance techniques.
Right.
So they have all those different books. That
Well,
you
I
can
think
learn.
it's. I mean, and guys, don't take this the wrong way when I say this, but a business that is not growing is dying. Literally, you as the entrepreneur, you as the contractor, have to be growing, have to be expanding, have to be learning. And if you're not, you're literally dying, and somebody else is going to come in and take your market.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you're a plumber, electrician, whatever, a painter, a paving contractor, trucking broker. It doesn't matter. If you're not growing and expanding, you're dying, and that's just basic business.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest companies like Google, all the way down to our little pissant asphalt companies, would say the same thing. Yeah, yeah. So I think we've been
it's
talking
pretty
a
good.
long time on this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. So until next time, guys. Hopefully that'll help you figure out
Hiring an estimator,
hiring
yeah.
estimators,
Yeah, yeah.
just hiring people in general. But estimators, that's a tricky one. So,
is. It's very,
that's
yeah.
good advice. So until next time, we'll see you down the
All
road.
right. Thank you, guys.